Hey there, comic book friends. I'm Travis. It's time for another edition of What the Fugue, where I talk about what's going on with me in my world of comics. Let's get it right out of the way, right off the bat. Batwoman, J.H. Williams, and Blackman step off the book after cited 11th hour editorial changes, and then they list a bunch of other things that have helped make them decide that it's no longer worth being on the book anymore because they're not being able to tell a story that they want to tell. Some of the things they slated was they weren't going to allow Kate and Maggie, main characters in the book, to be married. I personally think, and from what J.H. Williams has said, that nowhere did DC editorial say we're not allowing gay marriages. They're not allowing marriages, period. I mean, if you look at the whole New 52 relaunch, there's what? Animal Man, and I can't remember who else. I could come up with two last night. Two characters who are married. Everybody else is not married, period. It's just the way DC is going to run right now. They don't think they can tell interesting stories of married people, and that's a whole other conversation that I'm not going to have here. But something we could discuss at some point down the road. That the Killer Croc thing, where they tried writing Killer Croc stories and DC basically wouldn't let them do the villain Killer Croc story, and just lots of other stuff. They get their stories approved almost a year in advance and then have to change everything. And it's not so much, I think, that it has to change. Given enough time to write a reasonable story around it, it would be fine. But the last second changes are ridiculous and should be abnormal at best. If you hunt around on the internet a bunch, you can read a bunch of tweets from Scott Alley. He is the head editor of Dark Horse Comics, has been an editor for a very long time, and he kind of lays it out there. Look, stuff happens. Editor's job is really hard, and he doesn't think that most people really understand exactly what all goes into that, and some of the things you have to do, and how you have to smooth things over and work out all the kinks that are involved in making things happen. But he says that those 11th hour changes should be extremely rare, because if you have an 11th hour change, that last minute change, more than likely the editor is the person who screwed up. And they're not doing their job right if that happens a lot. And it sounds like it happens a lot. This sounds like it's a pretty rampant problem, seemingly, at DC. I don't know if rampant's the word, but there have been plenty of people who have left due to those kinds of conflicts. And I know that it's always been there to some degree, but more and more so, the creators are coming away saying, yeah, it wasn't that I just couldn't get along with people. It was that they're making these last minute changes, and how do you tell a story? And my frustration is that Batwoman was one of the few books, I enjoyed quite a few books from the New 52, but Batwoman was one of the few books, along with Wonder Woman, that felt like it had its own voice. It was doing its own thing. It wasn't being totally ripped apart all the time by the rest of the DC continuity and stuff, and I really enjoyed it for that, the fact that it had its own voice. I don't think enough mainstream comics have their own, an actual voice. You can feel that the creators are trying to tell us something with what they're, and not just kind of going through the motions of this is a superhero comic with a franchise character, blah, 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 blah. So I'm bummed. I'm bummed about it. And I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to finish reading, obviously, the rest of the, up to 26, which is where the creators are gone. I don't know after that. I mean, part of me says, I like the character, so I kind of want to know what goes forward. I'm curious to see who they end up getting to do the part. But part of me says I need to speak with my wallet, because that's the only thing that's going to be heard. Granted, I'm only one person. I'm not going to boycott DC. DC needs to get their act together. I think once DC loses enough top talent, or good talent, and it goes to everybody else, sooner or later, I mean, I know there's always people they can hire, there's always new people they can hire, and whatever, but their talent pool is going to get smaller. And the named talent just keeps getting smaller. People we already know, not people that need to prove who they are. And we gravitate towards, a lot of us gravitate towards the names we know. There's going to be a change. And I still think that the change is upper middle management is where the problem is at. I think there's managers, and that's what an editor kind of is a manager, who don't know how to manage. And I say that being a manager, granted I managed a different stuff, but still, you have to be able to manage your people. If you can't manage your people, you put out a poor product and cause grief. And I don't care what people say. Not all PR is good PR, and this, puts more of a sour taste in people's mouth. Makes me less excited about comics when this kind of stuff happens, especially when such a creative person like J.H. Williams III. So I think they just got tired of it. They could take their talents elsewhere. Fortunately, this supposedly isn't going to affect the Sandman book that's going to be coming out here in the next couple of months, and so that's good. I'll be curious to see where J.H. Williams III goes from here. What he does next. I'll be really curious to see, and I'm sure my money will go there to explore whatever that is. So I don't know. There's that. Unfortunate that is. On to other stuff. My comic book boxes, of course, last weekend I just posted kind of a goofy video. Didn't really think a whole lot about it. Just was kind of like, gee, this is my dilemma. What do you guys think of the dilemma? I got some good answers. I got some funny answers. It was amazing how many people answered with, here, I'll solve your problem. Just, mail me that box or ship me that box of comics, and that'll alleviate your problem. Yeah, huh? The funny thing is some of the people who said, oh, you should just ship me that so you don't have that problem, were people who have more comic books than I do. So I don't know what's up with that. At any rate, I did get some good ideas. I think basically what I'm going to do as far as how I'm going to manage the comics, I think I'm going to go with, there are a couple people who said, hey, why don't you pull your miniseries and one-shots, that sort of stuff, off, away from the rest of the comic book collection. So this is going to end up being my monthlies, mostly, which takes up most of my collecting is in monthly kind of books and whatnot. And I'll put the mini series and one shots, that sort of thing. I will tuck them off in those other boxes that I had that were empty. That's my plan right now. So I'm really in the short of doing that. This box right here is the box I have open. So that's what? 4 boxes in is how far I've gotten in as far as pulling stuff out. I actually have been having fun doing that. If you don't follow me on Twitter, and you have Twitter, and you want to see kind of what's in my collection, I have been taking pictures of what's in my collection, things that strike my fancy as I'm going thumb through it, as I walk down memory lane. Last week I posted my first comic I bought with my own money. I actually do own that book, and some of the other stuff that's gone on that's in my collection, and just make my own comments about the stuff and whatnot. So that's been fun to do. I've actually kind of enjoyed doing that. So I plan on doing more of that probably this weekend, though this weekend I think is fairly busy as far as all the stuff I have to do, and it's all mostly comic book oriented stuff. But hopefully I'll get to that. There's some other stuff that in my collection that I have split off to the side. Lots of times you'll see right over here in the very corner, these are just your standard long boxes. Actually, half of them are empty and half of them have full runs in them. One of those boxes has my Hellblazer run in it. Another box has most of my Doom Patrol in it. I have Doom Patrol in some other places still that I need to get all together in one place. Those runs are so big, they literally take up a comic box or more. So that's why they have them separated off and not in the drawers. Because those series I don't go back to in the same way, or if I'm going to go back to them, I will just pull out the whole long box and go through the whole long box as far as that goes. So I'll be doing more of that. That's been fun. People seem to have liked it, enjoying looking at that stuff. So I'll be doing that. Next week is my 2-year anniversary on YouTube. I haven't decided whether I'm going to do anything or not. I think it's going to be more of a spur of the moment kind of a deal as to whatever I'm going to do. I'll look this way. I'll answer questions. If you got questions for me about my collecting or whatever, ask away here, or send me, personal messages or whatever. Ask the questions, and next week I'll make my part of my What the Fugue answering those questions. Obviously, I won't answer questions I don't feel like answering, but chances are I don't know that anybody's going to ask me anything that I wouldn't answer. So yeah, if you're curious about something, ask away. I do have plans sometime here in the near future because people have been asking. I am going to do a buy original art, not a tutorial, just kind of my experience, how I've done it, how you can do it, what some of the pitfalls to watch out for are, because there are some. If you don't understand some of the language and some of what you're buying, you could be buying something you think you're getting a great deal on. In reality, you're not really getting what you think you're getting. So I kind of want to go over that stuff so nobody, steps in something, because I know a lot more of you have been asking me about it and are preparing or thinking about buying some original art pages yourself, which I think is awesome. For me, very little beats that as far as stuff goes. So really excited about that. I think that's it. Tonight, this is Friday. Later on today, hopefully when this gets posted soonish, Comic Book Roundtable will be on the Great Legends channel. R. Dowdy 97, I want to say. I can't remember what the... yeah, I'm not sure. Great Legend. Y'all know who he is. You should know who he is. If you're following me, you're not following him, I can't imagine, because he's got 10 times the subscribers that I do. So, going to be on his channel tonight. If you got lots and lots of time in your hands and want to listen to me ramble a whole bunch, last night I did a hangout with Agent 42Q. You can find him on YouTube as Agent 42Q. I believe is still what he's calling himself. Google has allowed us to change our names, but I don't think that's changed. I think it's still Agent 42Q. Go check that out. It's me and him talking about, what I like, basically. It's kind of talking with me about what I like, but we talk about the Batwoman thing. We talk about Big Two. We talk about some indie books. We kind of go on, and we talk for 2 hours and 45 minutes worth of video viewing pleasure if you choose to watch that, which I can't imagine, but, people did, and I enjoyed it. I had a great time. I had a great time talking with Matt. It was awesome. Let's see. Near future, I'm hoping by the end of the month to have another kind of comic hangout show up and going. I need to talk to some more people about that. I'm going to kind of do a book club kind of a chat thing where we all show up with a book we want to read, different book each one of us want to read. 4 of us, not necessarily the same people all the time, or we're going to get a subject, whatever that is, and then we're all going to go find our own books about that and come and have it be a little bit formatted to the fact. I'm going to try and keep it like an hour, which is still a long time to sit and watch a video, but hopefully we can kind of keep it controlled enough to be within an hour and have some interesting things to say. Explore some of the old stuff that I read and whatnot. I got lots of stuff I'd like to talk about. I just haven't figured out exactly a way to talk about it. And I just don't want to pull a book out random and talk by myself. I would like to have a conversation with people about it, and the hangout seems to be the best way to do that. So that's the plan as far as that goes. I did buy some, after all this stink about the 3D covers, my wife did go and buy me some 3D covers this first week. I think she bought almost all of them, which buying them at cover price from the chain store was alarming. The price of that, super expensive. They're cool. I haven't hardly read any of them. I read the Ventriloquist one. It was good. I don't know. I doubt I'm going to get any more of them because they are so expensive, and I'm really not that excited by most of them, really. And to be quite honest, the whole Batwoman thing is kind of let the excitement out of DC Comics again for me for a little bit. Not that I'm going to boycott them or anything. I'll keep reading the stuff I enjoy reading because I do enjoy reading that stuff. But it does make you kind of go, oh man, come on. So there's that. Hopefully I'll get a little more on track with stuff. Things keeps getting later and later each week. I've been fairly busy, it seems, and the more of these hangouts I do and stuff, of course, takes up the time that I would spend doing my standard videos, but part of me is interested in having that comic book conversation, and that's the way I can do it with people. So this stuff kind of gets thrown to the side a little bit more, because lots of times when I do these reviews, I wonder if I'm just sounding like blah, 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 blah as I talk. I'm not sure if I'm discussing anything that's interesting with anybody, and I don't really want my thoughts on my comics to solely be kind of just a pull list kind of a deal. Not that I have a problem with people who do pull lists or just do, this is the covers of the videos. Those are cool and fine haul videos. But that's not what I want to do. I want it to be a discussion also. I want to, show, hey, here's the books I've been reading, but I want to talk about the books. I'm not sure I do a very good job of that anymore when I'm just talking with myself. I don't know. So anyway, I'm doing more of those types of things. Tomorrow on Saturday, I'll actually be doing a podcast with Longbox Review, an actual podcast, not a hangout, but a podcast. I think we're going to discuss the whole Trinity War thing, so that'll come out at some point in the next week or so. Hopefully be able to punch in the direction of that when that comes out. Usually enjoy talking with him. I'll probably be hoarse by then, though, after 3 hours yesterday, videos I've done today, doing a hangout tonight, and then doing a podcast tomorrow. Who knows? By next week, I might even be able to talk. So, anyway, that's it. I'm rambling now, and the plan was not to ramble. So I will catch everybody across the weekend and into next week, when we'll have positive comic books and have a great time. Anyway, have a good one, everybody.